But when my dad saw that room 35 years ago, he just fell in love with the situation because it was fitting his purpose. He had the dream he had in mind of having a close-up room only for magic, only for close-up magic. Of course, you can do parlor, but not stage.
No, it's Jim, you would love it. It's a very comfortable little room for everybody.
Well, I was only in Paris for a very short time, and had I been there longer, and why I didn't think Paris would be an absolutely incredible city and I should have planned more time there, I don't know. A lot of people say Paris is nice. I guess I wasn't listening because it's incredible.
Next time.
They say if you like Minneapolis, you're going to love Paris.
Exactly.
Yes. Anyway, thank you for joining us today. The podcast, every episode, the listeners get to hear a different Eli Marks story. And over this season, they're hearing short stories. And the one they'll hear on your episode takes place entirely inside his uncle's magic shop. And I thought you'd be a perfect guest for that because you are, in many ways, the French Eli Marks. In your case, your father ran a magic store and is a master world-class magician. In Eli's case, he is taken in by his uncle when his parents die. His uncle is a master magician, sort of a combination between Eugene Berger and Jay Marshall. And Eli grows up in the magic shop and becomes a magician himself. Okay. So you are the French Eli Marks. Because you've had the experience that he had. So we're going to jump around a lot here, but let's just talk first about the magic store. And did you work in it when you were younger?
Yeah. In fact, first of all, because you talked alone and I was not able to talk, and I am very happy to be with you and to be on this podcast. I'm sorry, my English is woo-woo, sometimes difficult to pronounce. You will see that. And I'm very happy you asked me to participate because, I love being part of different experiences. So thank you. And to answer your question about the shop, in 1991, my dad bought the shop. So I am born in 73. So I don't know how old I was, but I was not very old. And since the day he bought the shop, he asked me, I think I was 18. Yeah, 18. He told me, okay, would you like to go on with your studies or would you like to go in the adventure? Because, I started magic when I was 15. It was in 88. So that's correct. I was 18. And I was still doing my studies at school. But buying the shop was a bit, in life, you have sometimes crossroads and you need to make a choice. And that's what life is about, making choices all the time. I'm going to eat a hamburger or tacos. This is not a wild choice, but, when it goes to either I go to the studies or to the magic shop, I didn't think long. My mom would have liked that I go on with my studies, but my studies were already beginning in the shop. So I just quit everything and go to the shop, begin selling tricks, learning my craft, doing tricks, learning tricks. First of all, learning tricks is a lot of, it's difficult because you need to practice your memory, of course, your hand, but you need to face an audience and just not blushing because I was so shy when I was 15, 16, 17 and 18. It was very difficult for me to stand in front of a person and trying to sell him something, wow. So it was a good school to do that. So yes, I sell in the shop. I was making tricks. I was doing computer stuff. Yeah.
And we should say it, let me know if I'm wrong on this. It is the oldest magic shop in the world, isn't it?
We historians have made some research and we have been, 1808.
1808?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
We are the oldest shop in the world.
1808. Wow, that's great. That's fantastic.
We didn't make the research. The research has been made for us. And, we are pretty proud of that too, because it's great that we have such a shop.
And it's open to the general public as well as magicians?
Completely, yes, because we are in a pretty nice area, very touristic area nearby the Pantheon, where very famous people are buried, like Victor Hugo.
Yeah.
I've heard of him. Yes.
Uh,
That's incredible. Let's talk about magic. Do you remember at all the first magic trick you saw as a kid?
Alors, you mean at the Double Fond or in the shop?
In the shop or from your father?
Yeah, from your father.
One of the first tricks I learned that my dad showed me and said you should work it was the Svengali deck.
Okay.
This trick is just so powerful on layman, and it is so clever. And you can also, which is really interesting, make a lot of effects with it. It's not just a one trick deck. So it's very interesting to just learn that and sell it also, because it's a very versatile tool, let's say. So when you sell it to a customer, he's pretty happy because he sees that first, it's very clever, cards are really well made, and you can do many things with only one deck. So that's cool. That's a very cool trick.
Do you remember what was the first trick that you felt like you had mastered, that you went, okay, I got this one?
The first trick I mastered, I think it was the first trick my dad told me you should work on it. And that's the first trick I've mastered, if you can say master to the Svengali deck, which is pretty easy. But, mastering a trick, I think there is a degree of mastering. Mastering is just being able to do the technique and also a presentation. So that took me longer, the presentation, because like I told you, I was ill at ease with spectators. So practicing in front of this, passing by audience was just a great school. So the Svengali deck was certainly my first trick, I think.
I think it's a lot of people's first trick.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
I think when we talked to Dick Cavett, I think that was his first trick that he bought
Really?
at the Nebraska State Fair.
Yeah.
It's a very, very powerful trick.
I have bought Svengali decks at our state fair for years as a kid. I'd watch and then buy the deck, and it is a great trick.
Yeah.
Still available.
Sure. It's like the one more deck, De Vernon fooled the hell of I don't say the rest of the sentence, Larry Jennings and so many others like that with only a one-way deck.
Yeah.
And it can be so powerful. It depends how you use it.
Yeah, I think people forget that.
Yeah.
Sure.
As you said, you learned to not be shy in the shop by talking to customers. In the Eli Marks books, Eli has several significant encounters with customers. Are there any memories you have of encounters you had with customers where you just remember that was a moment, I made a moment for them, or they made a moment for me?
What was very difficult to handle for me is that, when you have customers, and I don't know how it is in America, but in France, you have many customers who knows everything. They think they knows everything.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to just surprise them. And even if you surprise them, they don't want to show it. So it's very tough. So that taught me a lesson, I think, because, I had to, and after I just transposed this to of course, the presentation and to the show, the entertainment part at the Double Fond and all the shows I do, is that it was a great school, because when you have a customer, when you have a magician in front of you in the shop, maybe he knows many things, or maybe he doesn't, but he wants to pretend he knows everything. And a woman is not going to fool me. No. But sometimes, yes, And what's the point? We don't care. We're just here to share magic. It's not a competition of she's a woman, he's a man, he's going to fool me, not her, and so on. It's so,
for some people, everything is a competition.
Yeah.
Wait. So I don't know if it's the same in America, but in France, and especially because we are very Cartesian, Descartes was a philosopher, and he wanted to understand everything, the process of every single thing. So, which is a good thing in science, but in magic, it's not a very good thing, because you just somebody shows you a trick in France, they want to, how did you do that? How is it working? Just forget it. We don't care about that. It's just entertaining. We're just here to have a pleasant moment. And that's my father has a great saying about that. He says that the French audience is the worst and the most difficult to entertain. But in the end, after you are able to entertain it, this is the best audience because it teaches you a lesson, and it pushes you further.
Yeah, it puts you in front of the hardest audience and you learn the most from that.
Ouais, c'est ça. Alors, on the other contrary, the Americans, you just into anything well made. I mean, it's not that they are not, but they just want to be entertained. They want to laugh. They want to have it. So this is not the same way of thinking. So American audience is the best. It's great performing for Americans.
You've set a record here now. I think you're the first guest in over 50 episodes to mention Descartes. If there was a drinking game involved, that every time the name Descartes came up on the episode, you guys go ahead and have a drink now because
yeah, absolutely. If you're playing from home, take that shot now.
Okay, let's do that.
So here you are. You're 18, 19 years old, working in your father's magic store. At what point did you decide, I think I'm going to make magic my career? And what was your father's reaction to that?
My dad never wanted me to be a magician because he was a magician. That's for a fact. During my childhood, I kept asking him, please show me a trick. No, please show me a trick. And after a while, he gave me a book. He has written in the 70s, a small book like this, very small book. It was the year 2001. It was called like that. We were in the 70s, but it was called the 2001 Practice of the Card Magic. Learning card magic on a book for me was very difficult, and a few drawings made by my mom. So it was very difficult just translating French to French and trying to understand where do I put my pinky, my first finger, what's the dealing position? I don't understand a thing. So it's pretty difficult. But when he saw that I was working by myself, that I had worked by myself, then he helped me and we worked together. He showed me all the greatest artists, all the close-up stage, David Copperfield, of course. First one, Penn and Teller, and Vito Lupo, Jeff McBride, masters of the craft, in stage, in close-up, like De Vernon, Jennings, Michael Skinner, Jimmy Grippo, and because he has a wide collection of archives, so Michael Weber and Chris Kenner, of course, and many, many, many others. And I started magic when I was 15 because my dad, he was booked in FISM in 1988 in Den Haag, in Holland. And Richard Ross booked him because he saw his magic. They were very close friend, and Richard Ross loved my dad's magic. And he booked him for FISM to do a show with a sitting like this in tiered seats, 700 people. I saw that, and after during cups and balls routine, my dad's cups and ball routine, he was producing the fourth cup. The climax of my dad's routine is that, and I saw everybody stood up, clapping, and my mom was translating over there, and I was just blown away to see that magic can make you feel such reactions. They can make you laugh or cry. They didn't cry when they saw my dad, but they were just wild. And I say, wow, I want to do that. Because before I saw my dad, I've always seen my dad working in magic, but I didn't realize how powerful magic could be, giving emotions. And that's my thing today. I want to just exchange, communicate with people and have a good time. And that's my thing. So when I saw that in 1998, I was 15, I said, yes, I want to do that. And the second click I had that year, the same convention, was Lisa Mena. And that's really important because I was able finally to identify myself to a woman and not a woman on stage, just doing that, with the bathing suit, serving the magician on stage. She was doing her own magic, quick change in close-up venue, card stab with her shoe. That was just mind-blowing too, because I say, at last I can see a woman in magic. Okay, so I can do it too then, So I don't know if I wouldn't have seen Lisa, if it would have been the same story. I think I would have done magic, but it would have been harder for me just to say, I can also do it because, I'm a girl in magic.
No, it's great to have those role models.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And now you are a role model. Really, you are. It's I think it's so cool that sort of separation, men do magic, women do not, is dissolving now, and we're talking and seeing more women do magic. I thought what you did on Penn and Teller, it was terrific, and that's one of your dad's tricks, right?
Thank you. Exactly. I have we'll talk about it later if you'd like to, but yeah, I had a lot of pressure, but I loved it. And you said there is not a lot of women in magic, but let's face it. How many women director had an Oscar? One.
Yeah.
So it's in every field the same. Sure. Prime Minister, we had our last prime minister, one woman prime minister was in 1986, I think.
Yeah.
So come on.
Right.
Of course, it's not. But it's changing. Everything with the Me Too thing. Also, things are changing.
It is. So, give us a sense of what's a week like for you. What is your? How often are you at the theater? How often are you doing gigs? What kind of gigs do you do?
Oh, okay. So it's very, very different from a week to another. But let me give you an example. For instance, today, Monday is closed on Mondays. But on Mondays, I work for the shop. I just speak with my team. Okay, what are we going to do advertisement on? What are we going to promote on networks? So we will speak about all of these things. Mm-hmm. I'm working on my own stuff too, because I need to have time to practice my new tricks and so on, and creatively speaking too. And tomorrow we are on the 14th of February, which is the Saint-Valentin, Valentine's Day for us. So I have a big show, it's packed, and I will do a private show for these people who has booked the double fond with some tricks for lovers, obviously. Also, on the Wednesday, sorry. I'm mixing my days. On Wednesday, I am coaching a lady in magic, and I am doing the magic part of her theater play. She's a magician, but she booked me so I can put more magic into her play. So I'm coaching her on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And on Saturday, I have also a show. And on Thursday, I go to the shop and I just record some clips for networks, for the site, for many things, just to offer explanation. Also at night, when it's calmer, I just record stuff for our streaming platform, Double Fond TV, which is pretty new, because we have done that during the very sad moment we all encountered, the COVID pause, let's call it like this. During COVID pause, we were not able to just go out, so we were doing virtual shows, but also my dad and I, we have built a streaming platform, and we have more than 30 artists contributing to this platform, like Chad Long, like Michael Weber, soon, Max Mavern, Paul Gertner, Gaëtan Bloom, my dad, of course, myself too, of course, Boris Wilde, David Stone, Christian Bloom, and many, many others like that. And we need to shoot things, because this platform, is how do you say that? We put new stuff weekly.
Mhm. Wow.
So each week we just put new stuff. So we have to shoot and to edit it and to make, the advertising thing. So there are many things to do and to do the subtitles too. So it's pretty big work. So at night, I mostly record things for this platform, which is, like I told you, pretty new because it's the beginning of it. We try to make it pretty complete, you see.
Yes, but we will include a link to that in the show notes to this episode. But I have to say that you are the embodiment of what a magician needs to be today. You are teaching, you're consulting, you're helping to run a magic store, you have a magic theater, you're doing your gigs, you're putting things online. You are in motion, and I think that's what the performers need to remember to do, is not just wait for opportunities, but you are actually making opportunities.
Yeah, that's right. I'm pretty lucky because I have a base of the shop, which is, like I told you, well situated. So people pass by just by randomly and they are curious, they go in the shop. But also we have to promote for the professional magicians and keep on working because, money doesn't come to us like this. I just snap my fingers. I am not a real magician. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So we have to work on that. And the same thing for the double fond. The theater is, I knock on wood, but most of the time packed, because we're also working for corporates, and that's very important. And also we have another branch of activity is the school.
Yes, we want to talk about the school.
Absolutely, we want to talk about the school.
And promote also ourselves as and also I didn't talk about one of the main thing I love doing also is taking care of my children. Because, of course, I'm a magician. Of course, I'm an artist. That's great. And I love it. But I love being a mother too. And I think that being a magician shouldn't, how would you say, I'm sorry, avoid you from being a human being. Mm-hmm. Simply a human being. And of course, and I love being with my children because, I think everything is a pretext, is an excuse for just taking the things back into my magic. They talk to each other, they play with each other, and I say, wow, that's great. I could do that with that's, as a magician, I think we have a real luck because everything can be inspiring. I don't know if it's the good word to use.
No, it is.
It is, yeah.
Right. You can be inspired by anything or everything. And that's marvelous. I think I do a great job. I really love it each day because you are touching to so many things. In a few weeks, I'm going to do a speech in front of 500 people talking about magic, but talking about sharing secrets, but just talking, not sharing secrets for real. So I think that magic gives you the opportunities of challenging yourself, going always out of your comfort zone. Because of course you can be the magician of only children's show. Why not? And I was that magician too when I began. So now I do magician show, I do children's show, I can do corporate events, I can do close-up things, I can do whatever. I'm not going to list it, but you see the point.
Yes. Well, you've diversified.
Why? And that's when you are, I think, sometimes people ask me, okay, as a magician, what is the best quality you should have? And I say, you need to be curious. Mm-hmm. Because if you are not curious, nothing is possible. I mean, in your life as well as in magic. Because if you are not curious of the latest new tricks or the new technologies or the latest news on the TV and so on, your personality is going to be poor, or at least poorer.
Right, and that's going to be reflected in your performance.
Sure.
Yeah, the more things you have that inspire you, the more you have to offer an audience, I would think.
Yeah, it's like if you don't have any knowledge, of a novel, of scientific, or if you don't have anything to express or to say, don't go on stage. it's not worth it. Come on. If you need to tell stories, you need to say something, to share something. I think this is the more important thing. I love communicating with my audiences, but I love sharing with them. Really.
I wish that all magicians felt that same way.
I wish all people felt that same way.
That's true. That's true. You know, when I started writing the Eli Marks series, I'm not a magician, and I'm still not a magician. I can do one trick. Jim refers to himself as magic adjacent because he does shows that involve some magic, but he's not a full-time magician by any means. But I took lessons in order to learn what it was like to be a magician from a magician named Suzanne here in the Twin Cities. You know, I got very, very lucky because it was Suzanne. And she was really only teaching me the ambitious card, but she was also teaching me what it was like to be a working magician and give me a sense of her life.
That's great.
And I don't know a lot about your school. I want to talk about it more, but the sense I'm getting from what I know is that that's sort of your philosophy. Yes, we'll teach you how to do tricks, but we're going to teach you how to be a working magician in the real world.
Correct. Completely.
Where did the idea come from, and how in the world did you get it accredited?
Okay, so let me tell you the story. But first, Suzanne, you mean Suzanne who is working at the Magic Castle?
She works there a couple times a year. Yes.
I love Suzanne. She's great.
She is one of our best friends.
Yeah.
Wow. So
Delight.
please say hello and tell her I really admire her work and strength and career. That's great.
Yes.
Oh, you had a good teacher.
Well, wasn't I lucky, though?
That's
That
great.
that's who I started with.
Not bad. Not bad.
Not bad. I mean,
Exactly.
you started with your father. Good for you. You got lucky as well. So did I with Suzanne.
I don't complain. You know, I am the luckiest lady, of course. I know that. So about the school, you know, was in fact just the continuity of a thought. My dad has always believed that magic is an art. And he always think that magic should be taught at school. You know, you have music lessons, you have painting lessons. So why won't we have some magic lessons also? Because magic makes you work so many things at once. Of course, expressing yourself, eye contacting yourself with the audience, taking care of an audience, taking care of yourself, not shaking, expressing and saying clearly what you have in mind, creativity, because you have to write your text, your what is your persona, what is your character, and so on. So it's a very complete art. And my dad has always given lesson since 1973. And when he opened the Double Fond in 1988, the school was there, but not recognized, of course. And we were still giving lessons throughout these years. And it was in 2018, the first year of the diploma. Adeline Galland, one of my best friends who I am working with, and she is the builder of this diploma, because she spent, and this is not a way of speaking, 5 years building. I can say build like you build, a house, building the diploma, and it was that high. Voila, paperwork. Wow. That high.
For our listeners who can't see that, that was about 1.5 feet of paper.
Sorry,
about 1.5 feet. Yeah.
Yeah, big paperwork, because we love paperwork in France. But it's very serious. And now, after these 5 years of working hard on that, we are on the same level as dancing, music, theater, circus, and magic too. So that's a beautiful and an amazing recognition for the art of magic. And I was lucky enough to go to see Mr. David Copperfield in his museum lately. And I spoke to him and I said, you should be the one doing that in the States, because you are a superstar. Everybody knows you worldwide. So that's the best, the best proof that magic is an art, that you can earn your living, that you can be a superstar. That's great. So we talk about that. And he's working on it.
Good.
Yeah, so just for our listeners to understand this, it's almost like a degree, a college degree that you're on.
I'm sorry. I was not very precise because my English gives me some difficulties to
Your
express
English is
myself.
better than our English.
Absolutely.
No,
And I can listen to you all
I
day.
wish,
So just
no.
whatever you say, I'm fine with.
But you're right. This is exactly that. It's a 2 years diploma recognized by the Ministry of Labor. So this is huge for the art of magic. So we are very proud of it. And, we are proud because, of course, we are the first in France to do it, but we are the first in the world to have done it. But we are proud, but it's a small pride because what we want is just to be opening the door, and many others will do this, the past will do the same thing, because we need to show that magic is serious, is a job, is an art. And that's what we teach them during 1 year. It's a 1 year, I don't know what, 1 year thing, a lesson, let's say, 2 days a week. So this way, if some people are working the rest of the week, they can still keep their job. They don't have to quit their job and just do magic for 1 year, which is completely insane. So on Mondays and Tuesdays, lessons are given by 7 different teachers, which has their different specialties. And we teach them close-up magic, card magic, magic for children, mentalism, and I forget one.
Parlor,
exactly. Parlor and stage magic. That's it. Alors, a big stage, but not for 1,000 people, but stage. Mm-hmm. And not only we teach them a repertoire of those tricks, but also how to sell yourself, how to have a website, a business card, what are the price of the market. You need to have a page of a website, because nowadays, social networks are indispensable. You need to have networks. So also we tell them that they should work on that too, because nowadays magician can't be only a magician. He has to be a great communicant. He has to communicate on himself and say, I can do that. I can incorporate. I can use your brand to just promote it, and so on and so on. So we need to have different hats, and that's it.
Well, you prove that in your day-to-day work, the number of hats that you wear. To be the professional magician you are.
But I think that not everybody wants to have many hats.
Right.
Maybe they are going to spend their career on cruise, doing children's show, workshops, and that's it. And that's very good too. You are not obliged of being, multitasking and doing many things at once. This is my way of seeing the craft, but everybody's different. But at least if they come to our school, they can just go out and practice and being, that's great to have this diploma. I'm sorry. This is great to have this diploma, because when, employee, CEO are looking for, on the computer, okay, on the net, who am I going to book? Who is he? He has a diploma, a degree. So that's fine. Let's book it, because it's a gage, it's a proof of quality. Voilà. Yep. Sorry, I'm trying to translate.
No, you got it. That was right on the money. How do you get to be a student at this University of Magic?
You call us. You just email us. You say, when it's a foreigner, it's more difficult, but we do it virtually. But you can't learn virtually to be a magician. So you have to be on the set. We have many people who are not living in Paris, and they just travel 2 days a week. So that's the rest of the week they can go back. So it's working pretty well, and it's doing well. So
what is their requirement to graduate? Do they have to do a final show of some kind?
Well, alors, that's a good question. They are all year long, they are working on the repertoire and history of magic, and learning different vocabulary on what is this, what's the mic, what's a lapel, and so on and so on.
Right. All the technical things.
Technical things in English, it's more difficult for me, but in French, it's okay. And so all year long, we are teaching them the repertoire and so on. And in the end, they have to show in front of a 3-member jury 15, there is a list of 15 tricks, 3 tricks by category, 3 tricks in children, 3 tricks and so on, okay? And the jury, at the beginning of the day, say, okay, which one are we going to choose? This one, and this one, and this one, this one. They prepare upstairs, jury is downstairs, and after they show their 5 tricks in front of the jury, and jury notes. I have to mention that the jury is external from the 7 teachers from all year long. And most of the time, they are professional magicians in activities such as, last year it was David Stone, the jury, Boris Wilde, jury, so high professional, and Jérôme Solou. So it's quality magicians. It's not, old guys that we just take out from the closet and say, hey, come on. So it's, it's serious. And if those 3 juries consider that guy or this lady is worth it, they just note, because there is sheets of paper they have to fill in.
Right.
And after they have the diploma or not, depends.
So I want to make sure I understand this, because it seems really clever. They know as a student, I know that there are 15 possible tricks I'm going to be asked to do.
What?
But I don't know until the day which 5 it'll be.
No. Otherwise, it's too easy.
Yes. So I've got to be prepared.
Wait.
Wow. Okay. I'm nervous already, and I'm not even taking the class.
I'm doing the same math, John. Thinking, wow, 15. That's a lot.
No, it's not that much, because it's only 3 tricks in each category.
Right. It's very fair. It's very smart.
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying that's
I know.
Yeah, that's a lot of magic to have under your belt and be ready to be called on. Do this one. Okay.
You're right. Let's face it. It's a 550 hours in 1 year that we taught them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But they have to give also from their own time 2,000 to 3,000 hours of their own practice, because being an artist, come on, let's face it, you can't be an artist like this because I teach you 15 tricks, you are an artist. It's not working like that. Mm-hmm. When they begin the school, so school begins in September. From September to April, we just learn tricks, learn techniques, learn tricks and techniques, learn tricks and techniques, doing the history of magic, of course. That's very important too, the vocabulary and so on. But from April to June, we are only coaching. Coaching means, okay, do your trick. Okay, no, I can't hear you. You don't speak loud enough. Okay, do it again. Mm-hmm. No, your double leaf was sucked. Do it again. Okay. No, you need to look at me and look at all the audience and so on and so on. So we are just trying to make them look like artists and being artists, becoming artists. So that's the work on a few months, only on that for the last month.
God. How lucky they are to have that.
Yeah, very exciting.
And now you've done all the groundwork, so you could franchise it.
Wait, but this is not the spirit of it, really.
No, not at all.
My dad is somebody endlessly passionate by magic. And if he wanted to do that degree, was not to franchise anything, right, was just to show, see, my job is serious because there is a degree. Yeah. So what do you say about that? That's exactly that. So this is just only the passion who spoke.
I would love, though, if there were more of these. So there's a French school. It'd be great if there was one in London. It'd be great if there was one here in New York. Kind of like Hogwarts, and everybody's got a different style and a different. It would be really cool if this caught on and people could get a degrry.
For instance, what Jeff McBride with his mystery school is doing is just great, because it's not only about tricks, it's about becoming an artist. So yeah, of course, that's great.
I got to see you. Like I said, I've been at your theater twice and got to see you perform once. But a lot of our listeners may not have been familiar with your style until they saw you on Fool Us, which was a remarkable performance of your father's trick.
Thank
Just can you give us a little idea of how that came about and how you came up with the premise of, since you already did the trick backstage, you didn't need to take up the time on stage?
How clever was that?
So I think it was, I don't remember, but I think it was in 2018. My dad has created that trick I've done on Fool Us no, I don't know the specific year, but it was 40 years ago.
Wow.
And I saw my dad performing that trick many, many, many times in front of great magicians, friends, and they were fooled. And I love that trick. Okay, super. And but that's all. And 2 months before shooting the Penn and Teller thing, he said, "Okay, you should do it." I say, "What? I've never done that trick ever in my entire life. I can't do it in 2 months," because he wanted to sell the trick. Because he said, "Okay, this is the moment. It's in the air. I would like to release it now." Okay, sure, but do it yourself. And he said to me, I think people will more identify to you than to me because, I am older now and, it's better if you do it. And you're a woman, you're full of energy, do it. That was not my plan at all. That trick, I've never done it. So I had 2 months to learn the trick, be entertaining in English. And that was it. So a lot of pressure because when I was on the set shooting, I had Penn and Teller in front of me, and those two guys, I knew them. I mean, I don't know them personally at all. I knew them from, if you listen back to what I said earlier, my dad showed me all the greatest artists on stage, including Penn and Teller. So I was just astounded by their duo, by their creativity. They were crazy good. So having them just here was very difficult to manage inside.
Yeah.
I had to look very happy and very comfortable, but I was so stressed. But it was.
You wouldn't know it, but you know what? You would not ever. You were so charming and so fluid and so absolutely right on the money. You would not know. There's the definition of an artist for me, is that you've got that going on inside, and yet you can turn in a performance in front of Penn and Teller that was as great and that fooled them.
Oh yeah, I was lucky enough to fool, but I had a lot of on my shoulder because it was my dad's trick. He was performing for 40 years. I had to be entertaining in English in front of those two giants in magic. So it was a lot to manage, but I was so thrilled, overwhelmed by joy, because it was just a marvelous experience. And the words are weak, like I say it. I prefer to say it in French. C'est l'expérience d'une vie, ça a été formidable. So for the French speaker, you understand. For the rest, take your dictionary. No, yeah, of course, it was an experience of a lifetime. It was just, wow, so much emotion, so much. I gave a lot to that trick, but they gave me so much. So now, seeing, I don't look at it, but when people talk to me about it, I am proud of it. But it was at the moment, I was, wow. I mustn't, it's not an option. I mustn't fail. I have to succeed in doing that trick. And okay, let's try it.
What a gift for your father to see you do that after, talking to you as a 15 or 18-year-old young woman and saying, do you want to do magic? And there you are several years later, taking his classic 40-year-old trick and bringing it to a new audience and just showing the world what it was that he invented, which is, and I will again refer our listener to the link. It's an astounding trick to the point where if you watch Teller watching it, he sort of gives up where he just, because a lot of times you can see him taking notes and doing things like,
Yeah,
nope,
yeah.
he has no idea.
Oh, I can tell you a very funny after it, but on the moment it was not funny because I didn't know what to say. When you go to Penn and Teller thing, you just don't see Penn and Teller before. Of course, I've never met them before, but I meet Mike Close, of course, and the late Johnny Thompson.
Yeah.
And they ask me, okay, super, welcome, Alexandra, show me your trick. I show the trick, I do the trick. More or less like I done it to Penn and Teller. Okay, they say, okay, can you explain the trick? I don't know the abilities, I don't know what's happening. So I say, okay, I explain. And I explain the trick, how it's working, and I just said this and that, and you do this and that. And Michael and Johnny just told me, okay, I didn't understand. Explain me again. Okay, I explain it again. I try to do better. I say, my English sucks. They don't understand what I'm telling you. So I just try to say it better. And I say, okay, I don't understand, but that's fine. Okay, let's move on. We can do that. What kind of table do you need? And then just move on. So that's a great trick. I think which is on top of what? This trick is not a trick. It's a principle that you can use in many things. So that's the beauty of it. So if you are a magician, if you like cards, you don't buy it, but have a look to it because it's really cool, because it can allow you to do many other stuff than the trick I've done and fool us with the 5-thing prediction.
I suspect that one of us, and it isn't me, will probably be going online and buying this trick.
I think you could be right.
Yeah.
And you could just go right to your magic store online and buy this trick.
Sure.
Yeah, that's great.
Did Penn and Teller ask you afterwards how it was done?
Alors, to tell you the whole story, in fact, the day we shoot, I did the trick to Penn and Teller. And afterwards, they are talking to me. And I look at them, I try to understand what they're saying, and I don't understand a word, because if he speaks fast and I am so full of stress, and I'm so happy to have succeeded my trick, that I didn't understand a word of what he said. So Teller comes to me and he showed me, he drew some sketches on his notebook. He showed me and I know that it's the condition of a live. It's not, okay, just stop and we pause and we do it again. It's live condition. So I see Teller sketches and I say, yeah, that's it. But I know watching his sketches that this is not correct. But I say, yes, you find it, you find how it's working. Okay. So, and the lady say, okay, you have not food, but it was great having you, and go. And I am going, I'm vanishing. And half an hour later, we call Alexandra back, and please come back. Alexandra is required on the set. Okay, why not? I come back. And Penn is talking to me and he says,
after we talked back and forth, we looked at each other and it dawned on us that we had one question to ask you, and one question only. After all this time you've been waiting, how do you say you fooled us in French?
Oh, right. Because in fact, I think that Mike Close and Johnny Thompson told them here that they were not right and that they didn't get
right.
how it was working. That what he drew on his sketches was not right.
Yeah.
And after backstage, when I saw Teller, he told me, even us make mistakes. And that was just so beautiful and so honest and fair that, so voila, you have your answer.
We've talked to other people who had to go back and do the ending part again because of that very thing where Johnny and Mike talked and didn't fully understand what Penn or Teller were trying to say and realized that they didn't get it. And Penn and Teller have always insisted, in that case, we reshoot and we tell the truth.
Exactly. That's why this TV special is so cool, so good also for the art of magic. Because if you look at it, it's the 8th seasons, I think. This is great because it shows magician. It shows that you have complete artists that are very known or not well known, and we don't care about that, but you see some really good magic and they are not exposing anything. So that's great also for the art and for showing magic on TV.
Yeah, it is great because it makes when you see good magic, and that's all really you see on Penn and Teller, whether the magician fools Penn and Teller or not, the magic is terrific. And
Exactly.
Once you see it as an audience member, you go, I'd like to see more of that. Where would I go to enjoy this live?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's just so great.
Exactly. It's a virtuous circle. It lifts you up and not drives you down. So
Right.
that's, I've always said that I am so grateful to Penn and Teller for booking me because, thanks to them, they just, people, remember that Alexandra Duvivier still exists, or I can maybe book her, or wow, she was not that bad, so maybe I can have her. So, it's an exposure. So that's great. That's
Right.
great. I'm so thankful.
I've got one more official question for you.
Official, and you have non-official questions. I love it.
I do have unofficial questions after that, but the official one is this. Because you are a multitasker when it comes to your career, in that you're online and you're on stage in the magic shop, and you see all facets of it with the school as well. What advice would you give to someone who's thinking about setting out in a career in magic today?
That's a very good and very difficult question to answer. I think one advice, I will speak, of course, of my own experience. Mm-hmm. If you are jumping into the art of magic, you should have a team to rely on, because let's face it too, you can't take care of everything yourself, or you can, but you will do very few things. So you have to have close friends or people that are trustful, because I am working with it's my family, So you go much faster and much further when you are surrounded with a caring team.